Ice is patient, and so am I. Each silent century tempers my will, until the day I rise and remind the faithless that revenge is best served upon a frozen blade. Ah, Stygia. Now there's a tale with frost on its lips and secrets under its skin. Let me set the scene as I would in the old halls of Candlekeep, where the hearth is warm, the wine is deep, and your ears, God's help you, are mine for the evening. You see, Stygia is unlike its infernal siblings. Oh, it plays its part in the 9 hells well enough. Ice, treachery, and a river of madness for good measure. But its bones feel foreign, not grown of Bata's root, but grafted. The bolder tongues in Sigil's darker taverns whisper that it began life not as a hell at all, but as a world of the prime material, staring down the barrel of certain doom. In desperation, the rulers and people pledged not only their souls, but the world entire to Asmodeus, begging for deliverance. And deliverance they received, of a sort. The land was torn from its crystal sphere and set adrift in the 9 hells, there to serve as the 5th layer forevermore. Now, you will not find a scrap of parchment with Asmodeus's seal to confirm this. At least, not outside the deepest vaults of Nessus. But the variety of mortal-born creatures still native to Stygia's ice lends the tale a certain weight. And before you ask, yes, Zunk himself chased this very notion, though even his obsessive delving turned up nothing that would stand in a court of law, or in an archdevil's den. While the grand world for hell bargain remains unproven, we do have precedent. Long ago, a city of aboleths, creatures whose arrogance makes archmages seem humble, wove a spell so vast it pulled an entire world's worth of their minions from the prime into Stygia's embrace. There, in the lightless waters beneath the ice, the aberrations thrived, untroubled by the cold and perfectly content in the company of their own eldritch horrors. It is said that if you dive deep enough, relics of that lost world still rest on the seabed. Frozen temples, alien ziggurats, and other places, best left to those with poor judgment and excellent swimming ability. But the seabed is no place for idle explorers, for there dwells Sokola, the brutal shark god of the Sahuagin, his court a churning pit of devotion, slaughter, and the ever-present scent of blood in the water. His followers do not merely harry mortals, they delight in sinking the devil-run craft of the Styx, tearing through hull and crew alike, before slipping back into the abyss. Even the Amnesu, for all their bluster, know better than to linger long near the shark god's realm. And deeper still, here the stories take on the chill of myth, come whispers of ancient tentacled powers imprisoned beneath the ice. Some call them gods, others leviathans from before the plains took shape. Their truth is unknowable, for none who have sought them have returned with proof. Yet the persistence of the tale should give pause. In Bartor, stories are often chains, meant to lure the curious, to bind them, and to drag them down where the telling began. The 5th plane of the 9 hells derives its name from the Styx, the mighty river of black, opaque water that falls from the endless encircling mountains and swells into a vast salt swamp that fills much of the plain. Stygia is ruled by Levistus from his frozen throne, a huge castle, Tantlin, which lies at the center of the plain, and the swamp curving about it for slightly less than half the run of its high stone walls. Stygia is a chilly place, lit by lightning flashes and cold fires, which burn on rocky peaks for some time after a lightning strike. It is not known precisely what these flames feed on, for they appear to blaze on bare rock, and they leave no trace on rock or ice. Much of Stygia's landscape is high, tumbled rock and ice. Avalanches and electrical storms are common, and shooting stars of ice sometimes hurtle across the sky from the peaks, smoking, to plunge into the swamp far below. The swamp itself is constantly disturbed by splashes and wails, for it is the abode of the Styx devils, who torment lemures constantly unless summoned by Geryon to undertake a mission. Sometimes a bone devil or horned devil will enter the swamp to join in the fun, or to chase a few Styx devils, but on such occasions all of the Styx devils present will eventually unite to drive them out. Beneath the swamp lies a cold and lightless ocean, home to giant octopuses, squids, whales, and many smaller blind fish. There are no sharks or killer whales, however, for in the utter depths, Sekola, a great white shark, cruises. She long ago devoured all potential rivals, and now swims supreme, ignored by the devils, as the ruler of her deep realm. If there ever was an aquatic race of any sort at the bottom of this black river, Sahwagin, diabolic or otherwise, there is none now. The Sahwagin of the prime material plane worship Sekola, but she appears totally disinterested in all matters, except where her next meal is coming from. Much of the upper reaches of the ocean are always frozen. If they were not, much of the vegetation that makes up the swamp would have sunk to the ocean floor long ago, and Sekola very rarely comes to the surface. When she does, lemures, hellhounds, and devils alike usually make a hasty exit from the surrounding area. Every other layer of the 9 hells has a function related to warfare, industry, administration, or commerce, but Stygia is an expanse of untamed, unimproved territory. Even so, it has its uses. All manner of unlikely beasts wander the frozen terrain and swim the seas, including remorhazes, krakens, mammoths, and even a few tribes of frost giants. These denizens have no fear of any other creatures, including devils, which makes the place an ideal proving ground. Lesser devils that need to sharpen their combat skills or improve their endurance before reporting to Avernus for duty in the Blood War spend time in Stygia. The cruelly cold environment, combined with the constant threat of attack, helps commanders assess their troops and place them into the various legions as appropriate for the skills they demonstrate. The presence of so many creatures native to the material plane has led to speculation that Stygia was not always a layer of the hells, but was previously a world on the material plane. Its inhabitants, facing annihilation, are said to have pledged their souls and their world to Asmodeus in return for a safe haven. Whereupon, Asmodeus kept his end of the bargain by transporting the world into the hells. Volo's Guide to the 9 Hells. Chapter 1. Stygia, the Frozen Moor of Damnation, by Volothamp Geddarm, reluctantly annotated by Elminster Alma. Ah, my dear readers, prepare yourselves for a vision so chilling, so dazzling, so utterly magnificent that your very bones may quiver with delight, or perhaps frostbite. I speak of Stygia, the 5th layer of the 9 hells, a place I braved at great personal risk, armed only with my wits, a quill, and a fur-lined cloak trimmed in ermine. Elminster's note: you braved it by sitting in the cabin of a barge while others did the dangerous work. Picture, if you will, a sea locked in eternal ice, yet not silent. Oh no. The floes groan and crash against one another in a ceaseless, thunderous ballet. Above them loom gargantuan icebergs, each the size of a city block, glittering like cruel palaces of glass. And threading through this frozen dominion is the black, swift current of the river Styx, winding like a venomous serpent across a landscape of snow and steel-cold wind. The Styx never freezes, for it runs too fast, slicing through the ice with all the grace of a duelist's blade. Along its banks, clustered settlements cling like barnacles to a warship. Some of these communities welcoming to traders, others quite ready to murder the unwary. The water is not fit to drink, unless you fancy losing your memories and most of your dignity. But it serves as the surest route through this inhospitable realm. Elminster's note: it also serves as the surest route to a cold, wet death. The grand ice flows of Stygia are not barren. Upon them perch cities and fortresses, their black iron walls bristling with spikes and guarded by the ever-watchful Amnizu, devilish generals of considerable intellect and even more considerable arrogance. These creatures command Stygia's defences, for while the Styx brings trade, it also tempts invasion. And if there's one thing an Amnizu detests, it's an uninvited guest. Trade flourishes along the Styx's edge, nonetheless. I have personally strolled through markets where Sahuagin pearls lay beside infernally forged blades, and where one could purchase ice crystals so cold they burn to the touch, a marvellous, if impractical, souvenir. Elminster's note: you strolled for 7 minutes before retreating indoors, complaining of the wind. Thus begins our descent into Hell's frozen heart, a realm of ice, iron, and the dark promise of the Styx. And if you should find yourself there, remember my words. Keep your feet steady on the flow, your back to the wind, and your eyes on the water. For Stygia is watching you back. Volo's Guide to the Nine Hells. Chapter 2, Tantlin, Jewel, Jumble, and Jaws of Stygia, by Volothamp Geddarm, with persistent interruptions by Elminster Aumar. Welcome back, dear readers. If Stygia is a frozen sea of peril, then Tantlin is its crown. A jagged, frost-encrusted crown with blood still dripping from the tips. This greatest city of the layer is less a beacon of civilization and more, well, an elaborate ongoing brawl with buildings in the background. The city's ostensible ruler is a nameless pit fiend of impressive power and deeply questionable temperament. Her sole law? The strong survive. When she appears, the streets clear, the air chills further, and the unlucky vanish like breath on the wind. Mercifully, she's often otherwise occupied, likely by Prince Levistus, whose demands seem to keep her outbursts to the occasional massacre rather than a daily pastime. Elminster's note: mercifully is a matter of perspective. The survivors rarely call it mercy. Tantlin has no formal government, only gangs. Devils, planers, and all manner of opportunists carve the city into overlapping territories. By some unspoken accord, merchants, shipwrights, and essential workers are spared the worst of the violence. One cannot run a city on corpses alone, after all. Everyone else, however, is fair game. Those visiting would do well to avoid picking sides, for choosing unwisely tends to shorten one's tenure in Tantlin considerably. No Stygian can forget who truly rules here. Levistus, the Prince of Stygia, lies frozen within a monumental iceberg, his tomb drifting at the heart of Tantlin's harbour. Though utterly immobile, the prince's mind roams freely, his telepathic voice reaching devils within 10 miles. The sight of that colossal, glassy prison is a reminder to all that in hell, power can endure even under a mile of ice. Elminster's note: and that even the powerful are not beyond being made into cautionary statues. Though Stygia sits as deep in the sphere of hell as the upper layer of Phlegethos, it lies hundreds of miles away, its position twisted by the winding caverns of the Nine Hells. Passage from Phlegethos comes via the Road of Cinders, a labyrinth of lava tubes and jagged rifts, cooling and darkening until the traveller steps from volcanic fire onto the frigid shores of Stygia. Other routes lead upward to Dis, hidden in the ice-coated iron stairs spiralling inside one of Stygia's towering mountain columns. And on Stygia's farthest shore, several icebound canals stretch into darkness, winding for hundreds of miles toward Malbolge. Where these canals thaw, they slip into the former ruler's fetid open veins. Passageways lined with unnervingly lush blossoms. Their heady perfume a cruel contrast to Stygia's austerity. Elminster's note. Glacier does so enjoy making a point. Tantlin, dear readers, is the heart of Stygia's paradox. A city vibrant with trade, yet forever poised on the brink of annihilation, where the cold is matched only by the cruelty. Should you wish to see it for yourself, bring coin for the merchants, steel for the gangs, and a keen instinct for knowing when to run. Volo's Guide to the Nine Hells. Chapter 3. Blood on the Ice, the Duelist's Chasm and the Hall of the Vanquished, by Volothamp Gedarm, with increasingly exasperated commentary by Elminster Aumar. In our continuing exploration of Stygia's frozen marvels and hazards, I now draw back the curtain on two of the layer's more spirited attractions. One for those with an appetite for public violence, the other for those with an appreciation for perfectly preserved enemies. Imagine, within your wild imaginations, a jagged wound cut deep into the colossal iceberg Giskidin, carved into a circular arena that echoes with the roars of the crowd and the clash of steel. This is the Duelist's Chasm, where devils may, with proper paperwork of course, engage in legal combat against one another. Elminster's note. Legalized blood sport is hardly unique to hell. The bureaucracy surrounding it, however, certainly is. For you see, Beta's laws permit a superior to punish a direct subordinate at will, and any devil may assault 1-9 ranks below them. But all other combat between devils is forbidden without sanction. Risking one's capacity to serve the hierarchy without permission is, after all, a property crime. Here in Stygia, such permissions are purchased in the form of a license of lawful combat, a document requiring no less than 4 to 6 weeks of processing once it reaches the sulky Amnesu Galgub, current master of the chasm. Galgub, I should add, harbours dreams of transfer to a warmer layer, and is known to refuse any request that might displease Belial or Mephistopheles. Seating is cut into the icy walls, accessed by frayed rope ladders for non-flyers, with Barbazoo gambling masters scrambling between boxes to revise the odds and collect wagers for the Amnesu lords above. The dueling floor itself is slick with a permanent red slush, the semi-frozen remains of past combatants ground into the ice like some morbid carpet. Elminster's note. A slippery surface favours the experienced flyer, which is rather the point. Mortals, incidentally, require no such legal clearance to face a devil here. Many Batezu use the chasm as a stage to flaunt their prowess, win renown, or simply line their pockets with betting spoils. For those whose tastes run less to ruthless combat and more to the artistry of conquest, Stygia offers the Hall of the Vanquished, a museum and training ground carved deep into the ice, where the bound souls, or bodies in the case of outsiders, of Levistus's enemies stand in icy display. The hall's chambers are lined with frozen avatars of famous heroes, angels, demons, chaos beasts, and other foes of the Bati Zoo, each posed in a dramatic moment of defiance or defeat. Beneath every figure is a plaque of unquenchable fire etched into ice, recording their most legendary deeds, alongside tactical advice for besting similar opponents. Elminster's note. And here, I thought, the devil's incapable of subtlety. Preserving your enemy as both trophy and textbook is efficient. Visitors, whether devil or trusted cultist, may apply to temporarily thaw a specimen for training bouts in one of 4 combat chambers. Approval is all but guaranteed if one carries a letter from Stygia's high notables. Each frozen prisoner can only be released by a trigger word devised by the caster of the binding spell that brought them here. In true infernal fashion, these words are kept in the records storage room, locked, trapped, and meticulously organized. Levistus's cultists, fanatical in their devotion to both law and cruelty, rarely delay the paperwork. After all, the sooner a foe is thawed and beaten anew, the sooner they can be returned to their pedestal, an eternal testament to Stygia's dominance. Thus ends our tour of these two icy institutions, one where grudges are settled for the price of a ticket, the other where victories are immortalized in frost. Whether you seek the thrill of the duel or the silent satisfaction of a frozen foe, Stygia, as ever, provides with all the elegance and efficiency of hell itself. Ice is patient, and so am I. Each silent sentry tempers my will, until the day I rise and remind the faithless that revenge is best served upon a frozen blade.